Hey guys, welcome to the Pressplay podcast. I am incredibly excited to welcome my guest today, Shayok, who's the founder of StepOut. What I love about StepOut is that they are building a platform as a football analytics tool, and you are essentially trying to democratize football intelligence uh, through video analysis, player tracking, automated highlights, and performance data. And this was, at one point in time only available to elite clubs, but now it's accessible to everyone from academies, youth teams, semi pro clubs, and of course, emerging football players and markets. So, welcome to Press Play and hope you're doing well, Shayok.
Yeah. Thanks, Vinit. Thank you for the introduction. It's such a pleasure being a part of this podcast. And yes, Step Out has been quite a thrilling journey and definitely worth all the kind of turmoils that we need to go through in startups. But yes, I mean, thank you for the introduction and giving me the opportunity to be a part of this.
No, absolutely, man. So, why don't you start by telling us and the audience, what was the pain point that you saw, or your co-founder saw, or your team saw that made you guys start the company?
Sure. So it goes back like almost like a decade and a bit more. So Jeet and I, my co-founder Jeet and I, we met each other during our engineering graduation days from at NIT Durgapur. And being born and brought up in Kolkata, it's like we have the footballing blood running in us, right? And being such a football fanatic, and then also looking at Indian football, it was always a hard pill to kind of digest. I mean, you are seeing talents everywhere. Every local ground you go to, you'll see a kid dribbling past 4 or 5 players and scoring. And then when you look at the national team in the global stages, they are kind of losing every game. So it started off as, let's say, a frustration, and we used to complain a lot, like why India is not able to do this, why not that, etc. And then one day we became frustrated of our own complaints and thought, let us do something about it, let us at least try. And
Right.
then that's how it started. The idea was, if we can create a technology that would convert these players journeys into digital footprints, then those digital footprints can be utilized for scouting, for understanding, let's say, gap between an Indian player and an European player across, let's say, different age categories. And that would allow us to be more bespoke, more customized in terms of development of these players. And then you have clubs looking for talents, and then there are talents everywhere, right, in such a huge country. And yet there is no bridge connecting them, and we wanted to become that bridge so as to facilitate better talent identification, better talent development, and as a whole, as the end result, somehow help India qualify for World Cup and win it someday down the line.
Okay, awesome, man. I mean, I completely hear you on, you think that such a large country as ours, you would have many more people who are playing semi-professional or, high grade football or soccer, as they say in the West. We still like calling it football. Uh, but tell me a little more about the platform.
Sure. So the platform is designed. Okay, the inspiration of the platform came from playing FIFA. So in our college days, we used to play FIFA all day throughout, let's say, overnights, weekends, whenever we get time, we used to like host tournaments, play among each other. And then one day I was playing manager mode and I saw like all the insights in developing player, developing a club or academy, everything is there in that game. And we
Right.
thought if we could create something similar for all the coaches out there, then that would just do the job, because anyone can who can pick up a controller can play FIFA, right? And you don't need to learn anything, don't need to do courses and all to be able to interpret those insights. So we wanted to create something that is so simple yet so powerful for all the masses that are out there. So we created a computer vision model that would basically take input the match video, track all the players, and create a digital simulation in the backend. Once we have the digital simulation, we created algorithms, machine learning models, AI models to interpret that data and translate into visual languages in design, in information design, so that it can be easily interpreted by coaches, players without having to go through courses. And we kept certain fun elements within the platform so that it doesn't feel like a business analytics dashboard, or let's say a kind of those kind of tedious, very serious dashboards that would scare off people. So we kept it very light, and we created in a lens where at a glance you'll see the high level insights, and then if you're curious, you can deep dive and get into smaller details, intrinsic insights that will help you design training sessions better, help you design individual development plans better, and also take in regard the all the international benchmarks that we are creating. So
Okay.
so
Mhm.
for a coach, the this workflow used to be like, okay, you've played a game, now you get the video, you watch the video again and again, write down notes in your diary, and then somehow deliver that to your players, and that too, like, let's say one day before the next game, because doing all of these tasks takes a lot of time. But now using StepOut, you're done with your game. You upload the video within 24 hours. You have everything that you need. So now you can design, you can update your training modules, you can design individual development plans, and it's end to end connected. So the players are also receiving it. They're receiving all the feedback from the coaches, and then you don't need to do anything in terms of, let's say, your workflows, your manual tedious stuff. Everything is streamlined, and you can implement a training, you can look into opposition analysis, you can see which players whose form is going down, whose form is going up, all their insights within 24 hours. So that this has enormously helped coaches and, let's say, players become much better. We have seen teams qualify from the lowest division now playing in ISL as well. So, and not just in India, across different geographies, in more advanced footballing nations as well. So the idea was to create something that is very simple to adopt, yet very powerful when you'd want to go deep into details.
Nice. Awesome. And then, in terms of the challenges that you guys faced while developing it, was the feedback loop more focused on players and coaches in India, overseas? How did that entire mechanism work?
So the challenges were pretty steep, I would say, because see, like, we are two engineering graduates who has no professional history in football, not from the industry, and then trying to build a
Wow.
global football analytics platform from the 142nd FIFA ranked country. So when we used to go to Indian clubs to asking for feedback, they used to say, "La, why will we use an Indian tool? We'll use some European tools." And then
Wow.
European clubs used to say, "Oh, India plays football. We thought you guys play only cricket." So that was the challenge, and the kind of stigma we were battling against. Um, so and at that point in time in 2020, it was peak COVID. So
Right.
anyway, everything was closed. Yet something good happened is that everyone was kind of willing to come onto these virtual calls, give feedback, take a look at like interesting ideas. And honestly, we hit up each and everyone possible on LinkedIn, on like Instagram, everywhere. And we started off with whatever doors were opening for us. And it started with Indian footballing clubs. We understood their problems, started working with them. And in two consecutive years, when we were kind of researching and developing our product, we saw three teams back to back qualifying from the Indian second division to first division. And that allows us to understand that, okay, the impact is real.
Wow.
If the team is getting promoted, that is the highest kind of achievement in football, right? And
Hmm.
that allowed us to kind of customize the platform further, and then we won the award from Ajax in 2022. And then we got that international credibility that we were kind of in deep requirement of. And that allowed us to kind of elevate as per the global giants, as per the global standards. And then like Indian clubs, when they heard like, oh, Ajax is using, there was no further question. Even for international clubs, if the best club in the world known for youth development is using the tool, it must be good. So
Yeah.
that allowed us to kind of go beyond those initial challenges and kind of create a foothold in the international domain. And then it was all about hearing feedback, understanding the specific user pain points, and building solutions around surrounding it.
Wow. So you guys actually have been sort of improving, enhancing the product since what, 4 or 5 years now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And so just double clicking on the AI bit of it, since it's become such a big buzzword, and of course, everyone knows the impact that AI has had on the sports tech space, especially post COVID. Um,
Yes.
what was genuinely hard about marrying what is possible with AI and computer vision, and then the ground reality of actually making that simple to understand for the coaches and players. Because, I mean, the coach and the player, they are not technical folks in terms of software. So,
Yes.
how does
Yes.
that work out?
So the primary challenge we faced was on the computer vision side, where we were kind of creating this engine to collect data, and primarily because of the wide variety and the lack of infrastructural standardization. So we used to get videos shot from behind the goalpost, from the corner flag, different angles. Somewhere muddy ground with no lines. Somewhere more standard pitches and all of that. But that variety of video input allowed us to create a AI model that is actually independent of a camera system. So now there are like with more advancement in sports tech, there are now, let's say, AI cameras, there are, let's say, stadium fixed cameras, broadcasting cameras, handheld cameras, and even we get videos where, let's say, a parent is recording their kids using an iPhone mounted on a tripod. So all this different variety of video allowed us to create an AI computer vision model that is vast enough to cater to each of these different types of use cases. Once that was done, the next set of challenge was interpreting the data. And back in those days, 2020, 2021, there was no like chat GPT or Claude. It was previous to that era. And large language models were something still theoretical back then. So we created our own algorithms, we trained our own machine learning models to generate these insights out of the raw data.
Right.
And now with the insurgence of such LLM models, what we have done is we have integrated these LLMs as, let's say, your personalized uh, AI assistant, like your Iron Man Jervis. So
Okay.
now coaches, they don't need to even switch tabs. There is, let's say, a chat framework. You can ask the questions. The model is already trained with your kind of philosophies, methodologies that your club believes in, and then it has all the contextual data of your players, their developmental progress, their comparative benchmarks against, let's say, oppositions that you play, and then the global benchmark that we have fed into it. So it's
Nice.
kind of like getting the highest amount of footballing expertise at a click of a button, with end-to-end system already streamlined. So you just need to upload video, and then rest of it is just asking a question and getting an answer.
Oh, superb, man. I would love to have a look at that at some point. I'm glad to
Sure.
hear the progress. Tell me on the coach side, in terms of adoption, I mean, did coaches ever feel that this is threatening my judgment? I mean, the coach's judgment, or was there pushback from their side in terms of adoption? And if there was, how did you resolve that?
Sure. So, I mean, in our early days, there was, of course, a pushback because primarily, as you said, coaches, they know the game really well, but probably they've never done Excel or any kind of coding in their life. So, whenever you say analytics, data analysis, all these used to kind of create a kind of a veil within their mind, kind of creating a blocker. So we need to steer through that. So we created the platform in a way that directly integrates with a coach's workflow. And when a coach is seeing that to possibly identify a particular instance in the video, he used to go through that 90 minutes video 10, 15 times just to search it. But now they can click a button, automatically the video plays. He can tag the player, add comments, and that comments is then forwarded to the player. So
Mm,
this in itself creates an efficiency and a convenience factor. And we
mm,
started playing on those lines because if you're wasting 24, 48 hours in a simple thing which can be done in a click of a button,
yeah.
then convenience sells much better, right? So the coaches started to understand that. And once they went into the platform, we created an experiential learning curve where small data insights were getting added to their workflows, in turn helping it enhance much more. And that is where they understood like the magic of the platform, the tool. And then that taboo kind of went away. They started adopting. But this was primarily in India. Whereas in more footballing advanced countries, we didn't have to face this kind of challenges because they already knew that this is important. The problem there was accessibility and at times interpretability. So we've solved those problems. We created a pricing point that would make a win-win situation for both the parties. And then the UI UX of the platform in itself helped with the comprehensibility factor. So hence we got really good adoption in many different countries across the globe. Let's say a Spain or a Netherlands, which is a top country compared to let's say India, etc., which is kind of comes later into that pipeline. And then we also have footprint in emerging markets, as you said, like in the Middle East, in Saudi, etc., as well as Australia, where the technological enhancement was not there, but they knew about the necessity of that technology. So it kind of went in well. We had to change strategies from here and there, but more or less, we have now been able to create a playbook that allows us to replicate the same model in different countries and adapt to, let's say, the local requirements.
Okay, awesome. And then, just talking about the player development aspect of this, right? And of course, closely tying into that is scouting, right?
Hmm.
So, how does Step Out plan to become a pathway for, or is already a pathway for young players to get discovered? And
Sure.
in the future, could a player Step Out data profile become part of the football resume, etc.? Is that happening?
Yes, that is the idea. So we have divided the journey of our company in two phases for each and every country. So phase one is where all these organizations, all these pillars of the ecosystem are using Step Out for analysis. Let's say academies are using it, pro clubs are using it, federations are using it. This allows us to generate the digital footprint of the resume of the players and also identify the benchmarks for each of these, let's say state level, national level, etc. So now, for example, in India, we are working with all the top academies, we are working with all the top clubs, as well as the national federation now. So this allows us to create a countrywide digital ecosystem. So once this ecosystem is instilled, we are now connecting these organizations which are part of our ecosystem. And in itself, we are giving the power to these organizations to list their players into, let's say, a larger open scouting ecosystem. And whereas the coaches were using our system previously, now the scouts of same organization will start using it. And then all the players whose digital profiles we are generating and updating after every match we analyze, the scouts are able to scout them in a very digital first approach. So
Nice.
whereas previously they used to go to a field and in a very physical environment they used to scout players using eye test. And in that case, you understand from a player's perspective. Maybe there's a really good player who has some psychological issues on that day or has very like something very simple like a stomach upset. That person is not able to perform to its best abilities, right? And hence it is an opportunity loss for the player as well as for the scout and in turn for the entire nation. So by creating a digital ecosystem surrounding it, the scout is already aware whom to scout, whom to look for, what has been the trend throughout the season, and even beyond that. So now the scout is coming to the ground with certain informed decisions, with data driven insights, and now picking the best players. And even if that one player whom he was going to scout is not performing really well that day, the data is there. So it's not an opportunity loss for the player. The next trial, the player is coming with this updated profile. And going forward, the idea is like we see, let's say you Google me or I Google you, we will get a LinkedIn link, right? We want to create the same for football, where you will have a step out link for all the footballers, for the coaches, scouts, agents, clubs, everyone. And in
Nice.
itself, it will create an end-to-end connected digital ecosystem. And just imagine tomorrow, let's say Real Madrid, who is also our client, their scouts are, let's say, looking for a midfielder of 13, 14 years old. And within our system, probably there's a player who's really better in some corner of India, and that player will be suggested to that Real Madrid scout. Whether he scouts him or not, that's up to him. But that exposure is gonna help, kind of probably not create a success story today, but 1 year or 2 years later.
Awesome, man. That sounds truly exciting. I mean, that you spoke about Real Madrid and your international customer base. But so you're basically, what I also love about this story is that it's make in India for the world. Uh,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, so you are building sports tech from India for a global football market. So what has been harder? Like, is it building the technology, earning credibility, or selling?
See, building the technology has always been like about us, our capability, about the kind of effort we want to give in, and all of that. And when it comes to us, we are fully in. So building the technology was hard, but harder was, of course, like getting the acknowledgement, the accolades that there are, like that you need to be of something worthy, or to be have certain level of credibility, so that people look towards your solution as the solution they're looking for. So it has been a steep journey, but to be honest, I think the mentality that kind of everyone in Step Out has is never back down. I mean, to have their eyes set on the prize and work day in day out towards that goal. And this team has allowed us to kind of build something that is probably one of the best analysis tools out there. And hence, right now, Ajax, Real Madrid, Rayo Vallecano, all these top La Liga and like top five leagues of the world are using it. We are also in conversations with some really well-known English Premier League clubs also, and this season we'll be onboarding a couple of them.
Wow.
So we are really there and kind of trying to wave the Indian flag high in terms of technology, in terms of making our mark in the global sports tech space.
Nice, nice. I mean, yeah, with the FIFA World Cup coming up next month, I was reading that the FIFA World Cup streaming rights have still not been acquired for India. So
Yes,
that just goes to show, right, that it's got some distance to cover in terms of
true.
uh, getting mainstream in the country. But I think it's changing fairly quickly with the way the EPL or the football leagues that are outside India are so popular in India. Uh,
Yes, yes. English Premier League has one of the highest viewer base in India, and like last World Cup had, I think, third highest footfall of Indians. So
Correct.
Indians are crazy about football. Just national, like the domestic league needs to elevate their quality. We are also working on those lines. We are going to be working with ISL. Right now, we are already
Okay.
working with I League, which is now called Indian Football League, in terms of live broadcasting data for
Okay.
enhanced fan experience and engagement. So we
Hmm.
are also kind of working alongside the national federation to make the national leagues up to that level. And with regards to streaming rights, I mean, it's more of a business case, but I do believe there is huge consumption of international football in India. You
Right.
come to Kolkata during World Cup, you'll feel like you're in the middle of Brazil and Argentina suddenly.
Nice. Nice.
So the culture is definitely here. It's about how we create a business case out of this.
Right. Right. Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, that's a good segue for my next question, which was going to be around your business model and the ROI, right? So,
Yes,
how does a club or academy justify paying for this kind of platform, right? And
sure.
is the ROI linked to better performance, lower cost, better player development, improved scouting, or how? What is the consideration factor?
Sure. See, it totally depends on the goal of the end organization, right? So we cater to organizations which are using Step Out for their first teams. In those cases, it's always like money spends equals to more points earned. Whereas in an academy kind of scenario, it's more like, let's say, the progression, the developmental delta of the players, and also the exposures that they're getting in terms of, let's say, a player getting scouted. So in all of these aspects, we also create a overall process efficiency enhancement, right? So whatever processes they have within the organization, everywhere player and match performance data is pivotal. So that information is used throughout the organizational ecosystem. So first and foremost, there is an operational efficiency that is getting increased throughout the organization, and in turn, now they're able to understand what is translating into, let's say, more points earned, or what is translating to, let's say, a better development of a player. Whether, let's say, the trainings that are being designed are positively affecting these outcomes or not. All right. Previously, everything was kind of hypothetical. It was a feeling, but right now there is a data-driven rationale behind it. Whether if something is working, you are able to identify and work on it, and if there is something not working, you can also kind of tweak it, understand what could work, why this is not working. And also, we have different GTM strategies in terms of commercial partnerships. So, for example, in Europe, it is more of a socialist structure. So, no player has to pay any fees to play football. Everything is kind of covered by the clubs or the associations. So, in these kind of markets, we have a B2B model where we charge on a per match level. And then there are markets like India, in US, Australia, which are more commercial, where there's a pay to play kind of a system. So players or parents are already paying a fee. So there we charge like per player based, and per player charges are probably 1% of the annual academy fees that they are paying. So so what these organizations are doing, they're loading a percentage on top of our fees and then passing that fee to the parents. And since it's like 1-2% difference, there's no drastic change in the paying capacity, or like this not affecting the paying capacity of the parents, yet it's creating a digital transformation holistically. So it's a lot of value for these organizations. and and now let's say in a country like India, we are also creating this scouting ecosystem with partnership with, let's say, the national federation or top clubs. So now any academy, their goal is primarily to help the players get transition to the next level, and having Step Out directly increases the exposure. It's kind of like the academies were a brick and mortar store. Having Step Out, they're kind of transitioning to an e-commerce store with more
Got it.
visibility, more exposure, right? So in every possible way, we have designed the business model so that it makes sense for the end organization.
Nice. I like that, man. So you basically would customize your offering depending on the
Yes.
market.
Yes, exactly.
Nice, nice. Very insightful discussion, man. Thank you for sharing that. And then, last question before we end the podcast. 5 years from now, what does your platform look like? What does the roadmap look
Sure.
like? It'd be great to hear.
Sure. So, firstly, football is first of many sports we want to solve for. Probably after football, we would want to tap onto basketball
Hmm.
because it's also a very widely popular sport. And then, of course, other sports as well. And here we would want to kind of keep the similarity to football so that the solutioning and the extension of the solution is easily replicable. And on the other hand, within the next 5 years, we want to be that one step solution for sports. So let's say when you're a kid and when you're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, and you're having those goosebumps and you want to be at that stage, we want that person to download Step Out, upload their game, and get the visibility of how they can be there from here. And then when that happens, we have other players within the ecosystem, the clubs, the scouts, the coaches. We want it to be that one-stop technological ecosystem that binds all these core elements that drives the sport. That is what we want to be going forward.
Awesome, man. I love the ambition. This has been really very educational and inspirational for me personally as well to
Thank
have
you.
a chat with you. So truly appreciate your time. Wishing you the best of luck for the future. And for anyone who is following this, watching this, make sure to follow Step Out, a shining light in the Indian sports tech ecosystem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.